Evening, folks. Just want to double check, quick sound check. Can you hear me all right? And then we will get started. Class is about to start. Yes, indeed. Only me. You up the back there? Stop fidgeting and pay attention. AV is good. Excellent. Right, well, let's get on with it then. Do apologise, my throat's playing up this evening, which is not great. Okay, so signalling. So the new Dresden route has the slightly different type of signals, a variation on the German signals. So I thought it'd be a good idea to put some kind of effectively an update on the last one I did, and just augment it a bit for HL signals. But let's move on to the next slide. So anyway, this is a simplified overview. As I said, this is somewhat similar starter that I did on the previous stream. Where so this is simplified overview. It's only going to cover the basics that's needed for the game. This is not intended to teach real drivers. I don't know why I need to say that, but I do. There will be some repetition from the earlier German session, so that if you didn't see the earlier German session, then it should all still hang together as good as anything normally does. And real driver training takes a lot longer than the time we have today. So sort of a simplified, again, reiterating the previous point that this is a simplified overview. Real drivers spend a lot longer doing this stuff, but there should be enough for you to get going. It's a bit of an alphabet soup, you know, letters like acronyms like P0b and Afb and all these things, but don't worry about it. They're just names. You don't even have to worry about what they stand for necessarily. You just have to remember the bits and pieces. But the most important thing is have the confidence to get started and build your knowledge from there. And I said that last time, and a lot of people went away and had a go. Excuse me a second, sorry. Yeah, a lot of people went away and had a go. And I think some people have reported some degree of success. So, sorry, Stray Kickle, yeah, there will be a test, mate. Yeah, so you better find yourself a paper and pen. Totally. No, there won't be a test, so you can just relax, yeah? There will be a test, yeah. So have the confidence to get started, build your knowledge from there, and then you can build it from there. Don't be afraid to fail. You know, learning P0b, learning German signalling, same with anything else, is an awful lot about failing and doing it again and learning from what mistakes you made and then doing it better the next time. Though one of the benefits of it being in a simulated environment like this is it doesn't matter if you fail, you just press restart and try again. And don't be afraid to. I know some people hate it when things go wrong and they get really angry with it. Don't. Just treat that as part of the learning process and do better next time. You all downloaded the test yesterday. Excellent. Moggy, stop throwing pencils. Jeez. Anyway, so what are we covering today? Primarily, we're going to be looking at the HL signals on the Dresden-Riesa route. We're going to be doing a bit of a refresh on P0b, a refresh on CIFA, and looking at the Afb and Tempomat systems. I've seen some questions posed about those, so I thought I'd chuck those in here. We are not going to be covering the LZB system again this time, because it's not used on Dresden-Riesa route. If you want to see LZB, watch the other video. Right. Looks like everybody has settled down, and if they haven't got a pencil, they're at least not going to throw it somewhere. Right, so how do you do this? What's your process? The first thing is learn the signals first. Don't think I'm going to enable P0b and go in feet first. That's the wrong way to do it. You want to learn the signals first. So the signals are speed-based, whereas in the UK they are route-based. These are speed-based. So these signals tell you how fast to go. And in fact, HL signals give you a lot more information about how fast to go. There is a ton of information on these signals. I don't know what's wrong with my throat tonight. I do apologise. Oh, can I turn my camera off? That's an excellent point. Let me do that. Let me clear my throat one more time. Super annoying. Anyway, so signals have a lot of information. But once you understand the signals, P0b will make a lot more sense. It kind of flows on behind it. There is one more signalling system in Germany. Sorry, there's more than one signalling in Germany. In fact, this is the third one. We've done the KS and the HV systems in the last German stream, and this is looking at HL. But these signals are kind of all telling you the same thing. We're going to be focusing on the HL system, and then you can sort of compare and contrast the differences with the existing system and see how it works. And you'll find that actually Dresden mixes the two systems. I think it has HV as well as HL. Right, so signals overview. There's primarily two pieces of information relayed by a signal: what to do now and what you should expect next. HL signals provide a lot more information about the speeds than the other systems, in terms of there's a lot more different aspects, and I'm going to go through a lot of the aspects so that you can see what the different light combinations are and what they're instructing you to do. But the same as other German signaling systems, there's an awful lot about what to do now, what should expect next. So when you're thinking about these signals, when you're looking at them, just think to yourself, what is it telling me to do now, as in following the signal, and what is it telling me to do by the next signal, or follow at the next signal? So the general rules, you'll notice that actually there's if you're used to the other signals, the KS and the HV systems from the previous routes, there's this row of yellow lights you can see on the bottom of this image here, and these yellow lights are a good indicator that you're in HL land. And so this bar indicates the speed limit immediately following the signal, but it only applies on certain aspects. So to some degree, this is the now component of the signal. So on the signal aspects that it applies to, if that bar is off, then it means 40 kilometers an hour. If it is yellow, it means 60. If it is green, it means 100. And you'll see this pattern go through. And I wanted to call this out separately because otherwise it looks like there's loads of different aspects and it's freaky. And actually, you can kind of ignore the yellow bar as being a separate deal. Just remember, off is 40, yellow is 60, green is 100. The main part of the signal is telling you what to expect next. So the aspect you're seeing at the moment here is expect stop. But the two yellows is telling you to expect a stop signal, so the next signals are red, and the yellow bar is telling me to proceed at 60 kilometers per hour beyond here until I get to my stop signal, assuming it's still a stop signal. HL signals are only used in East Germany. You won't see them on any other routes, but even then I think they're getting replaced over time. This is an old system. But fundamentally, green is go and red is stop. It's just variations of that along the way. Oh, hello, skipped one. Right, so our first signal is blinking green. If you see a single blinking green light, that means you can expect your next signal or your next speed restriction to be 100 kilometers an hour. It doesn't need to be acknowledged by P0b because it's permissive. It's a positive signal. But yeah, blinking green light on its own specifically means expect 100 kilometers an hour at the next signal. I'm ignoring everyone throwing things around the class at the moment. It's just, yeah, I'm going to send in the teacher's assistants in a minute, and they're not going to be nice about it. All right, so sort it out and put the chair down, for crying out loud. Right. Next aspect, blinking yellow. This is another distant signal. How do you know it's a distant signal? If it's a blinking green or a blinking yellow, it's a distant signal. Blinking yellow means that at your next signal, you're either going to be getting a 40 or a 60 kilometers an hour. If you do not know what that will be, this is where the comment here, route knowledge needed. If you do not know what that signal will be, assume 40, and then when you're in sight of this next signal or speed restriction, then you'll know whether or not you can speed up to 60, but assume 40. This one, because it's reducing your speed, needs to be acknowledged. So you will need to press the acknowledge button as you go past this one. Now we get into the aspects which have all of the bars in. So again, it looks like there's three different aspects here, and there technically are, but all it is the variation with whether it's got no bar, yellow bar or green bar. So this is saying hold a speed over the junction area and then set max speed. So this is a green and a yellow light, and it's saying hold the speed that's defined, which is either going to be 40, 60 or 100 kilometers an hour based on the bars. Once you're clear of all the junctions, you can run up to line speed. We'll see an example of that when we actually get in the game. So, hold a set speed. So this one is yellow with a flashing green. Hold a set speed, and then you're allowed to go up to, and then it's 100 km/h restriction. So you continue with this signal either at 40, 60 or 100 kilometers an hour, and at the next signal you can then do 100 kilometers an hour. Well, that's when you'll probably get a signal aspect or something which is holding you to 100. And again, this is not needing to be acknowledged because of the speeds involved. Because essentially, if you think about this, you're either going to be doing 40, 60 or 100 and then limited to 100. It's not really restricting you as such from this signal to the next signal, so you don't need to acknowledge it. This one is yellow with the flashing yellow, which is that you need to hold either 40, 60 or 100 and then expect the 40 or 60 at the next signal. So again, yellow with a flashing yellow with a yellow bar says that I can do 60 from this signal and then either 40 or 60 at the following signal. Wow, you guys are just, I'm just looking at all of the people throwing things around, and it's ridiculous. So yes, this one needs acknowledging because this one is likely reducing your speed. In fact, in just about all cases it's going to reduce your speed. Solid yellow over solid yellow. Hold the speed and expect stop. So this is the one that was actually on the on that photo in screenshot in the first instance, so which is this aspect here, which is hold 60 kilometers an hour and then you can expect a stop to come after it. Again, it's slowing you down, so it needs to be acknowledged. And the last aspect we're going to cover is this one here with the indicator lying on its side. It's like a T lying on its side. And what that indicates is that this route ends on a buffer or is on a short track. So you're acknowledging as you go through it, because you'll almost certainly have a double yellow here, which is an expect stop. And you'll see this ZS13. And again, that needs to be acknowledged. And that's just telling you to be aware you're going up against buffers. Yes, I'll be making these slides available to the community team and they'll put them on the forum. I think there's a thread where all of the slides and some materials are from the previous sessions, so you can go and get those on the forums. Right, so that's the aspects. So it's really not too bad when you think about it. If you remember the bar separately to what the different aspects are, there's not an awful lot there to try and remember. But what you could do is, once you've got the slides, just print them out, put them on a thing to the side of you so that you can just quickly look it up. And you'll soon get the hang of it. Speed limits. This is a bit of a refresher. If you have a white digit on the top, that means the speed limit that applies now. This signal only has a yellow digit on the bottom, which means that this is telling me of a speed limit that applies next. This is the technical name for the white one is a ZS3, and the technical name for the yellow one is a ZS3V. But whatever that is doesn't really matter. Basically, that 6 tells me that I've got to be doing 60 when I get to the next signal. So I'll be slowing down at this point down to 60, and the next signal then has a normal colour light aspect, and it's got a white 6 on the top of it. This is on the Grossenhain branch, if I remember rightly. You multiply it by 10 to get the speed limit, so 6 is 60, 4 is 40. It's a little bit of maths, but it's tolerable. When you're learning the signals, don't do it with P0b turned on. As you're approaching a signal, say it out loud. I know you're going to probably feel like you're a little bit of a donkey saying it out loud, perhaps, but don't worry about that. Just say it out loud. That process helps put it in your brain. It's how our brains work. So read out, what is it telling me to do now? What is it telling me to do next? Act upon that, and then do that. Use the and remember that the information you glean from the signals in the route is more important than the HUD, because the HUD doesn't display a bunch of information you get on the signals. So the HUD is only really telling you the line speed. It's not telling you what the signals might be imposing now, next, or anything else. So but yeah, practice without P0b so that you can drive along, and that way it doesn't matter if you get it wrong, but at least you're practicing saying things out loud. And then you can always check back and see if you think you got it right. And if you're feeling confident that, yeah, I think I'm mostly getting it right, if you're understanding what the signals are, then you know whether you need to acknowledge it or not. Is it making me go slower? I'll acknowledge it. We'll come on to that in a minute. Let me just have a quick look. There's some questions here. The point to call approach they use in Japan, yes, indeed. Is a white signal valid only to the next signal? A white signal speed? A white signal speed? Big cat? I'm not sure what you mean by a white signal speed. I'm going to cover acknowledging and so forth in a minute. Morikroba. Is there an aspect where both the yellow and green bar are used? No. The yellow and white S. So on one of these screenshots, I think there probably is an S. Maybe not. No. So S, if I remember rightly, is a route indicator and is telling you that you're routed on the S-Bahn. Signals you showed appear to deal with decreasing speeds. What about increasing speeds? So effectively, the signals, as I understand it, don't really increase your speed. Effectively, if the signal has no reason to decrease you, I mean, they can specify a greater speed than you're on, but for the most part, if they don't need to slow you down, then they will go to green, and you just follow the line speed. You were driving through the route and encountered a green signal. However, the next distant was a yellow, telling you to stop at the next signal. That sounds about right. That presumably means there was a blockage in front of you. Green only means you've got one block clearance. Unlike, well, no, it is green, yellow, red, so it is 2 blocks. So, yeah, you should actually, sorry, it's 1 block because the yellow is a distant. Sorry. If you get, like this signal is telling me to stop at the next one. SK and M are route indicators. Yes, I believe they are. Yeah, I think S-Bahn is S. M, I think, is like main. I can't remember what K is. Do speed limits apply at the front or back of the train at a signal? They apply at the. It's traditional rules in Germany in that it's the lowest speed in anywhere on the length of the train is the speed limit that you should be going at. So it's. Saying front or back is a very simplistic way of looking at it, but under normal circumstances, a decrease will apply at the back. But if you had a decrease and then immediately an increase, it's the decrease remains true. Sorry, it applies at the front. Decrease applies at the front. Increase applies at the back. I will get this right. When you're given more speed, is that from the back of the train too? Yes, more speed is from the back of the train. So it applies as like I said, it's the lowest speed limit anywhere on the length of your train is what dictates the speed limit of your train. Right, let's move on a bit. Safety systems. First one I'm going to cover is CIFA. This is the easy one. It's the simplest system. It's basic driver vigilance. First thing that happens is a light comes up on the desk, and after 2.5 seconds, an alarm sounds. CIFA, or an actual alarm. And then after 2.5 more seconds, the brakes will apply. However, CIFA does not require a full stop. So if it starts putting the brakes on, then you think, oh, that's what's going on. You press the Q key, then it will release the alarm, release the brake lock, and once the brakes have applied, released properly, then you can put more speed on. So yeah, you can acknowledge it at any point. You don't have to wait until it's stopped. But I would say, don't turn CIFA on if you're trying to learn PZB, because it will drive you up the wall. Do one thing at a time. CIFA requires a little bit of practice, but honestly, it's the simplest thing in the world. Right, safety systems, PZB. So PZB broadly aims to make sure that the driver is following a simplified set of speed restrictions. There are no in-cab alarms until you've done it wrong, which means you need to be paying attention, folks. It's entirely based on signals and signs, so keep your eyes open. You should be seeing what's going on, seeing what signs are going past, seeing what signals are indicating for you, and knowing whether those things need you to acknowledge and what to do about those if they do. Cover that in a minute. There are lights on the desk and the HUD that tell you what PZB is doing. Show you those when we actually get into it. It does seem complicated when you first start. As we get into some of the rules of it in a minute, you'll see that it's going to be a bit daunting if you're not sure. But once you get the hang of it, it's actually quite straightforward. Actually turns into a very simple set of rules, a very simple set of things to remember. And once you do that, it starts to become second nature. You'll find it an awful lot of fun. The big red W on post will come to that. Oh no, we're not going to come to that. I took the screenshots and forgot to put it in the slides. It means Wharton. It's a wait. So you stop, tab, stop, request permission to proceed, and then go. Unless the two white lights are on, in which case you're already cleared to proceed through. Again, stop and then proceed. So different trains have different displays for P0b, but they all kind of mean the same thing. So they're just showing it. The Talent 2, for example, has and the 146 and the 185 have a modern LCD screen, whereas the 143 and the 363 they have old style just lights that turns on and off. P0b is not simple, Gareth Humple, but practice will make it much more understandable. It is purely something you need to practice, and this is why I say at the beginning, dive in, go for it, and don't be afraid to fail, because it's practice that will make it to where these things become second nature. Right, P0b track magnets. This is how P0b actually works. It's these magnets on the ground. This is what a 1000 hertz and a 2000 hertz combined magnet. And the way that happens is the train passes over this magnet, and the magnet, if the magnet is hot, is the phrase, is buzzing away, then the train will sense it. Now those magnets can either be 2000 hertz, 1000 hertz, or 500 hertz, depending on where they're doing and what information they want to tell the train. And when I say information, it's think of this information as complicated as pressing a button. That's as far as it can go. It's not actually downloading data or anything like that. It's just effectively saying, I'm here, I'm 200 hertz, 2000 hertz. So if your train passes over a 2000 hertz magnet, which is hot, then it will completely stop the train, and they happen on red signals and also on speed control magnets. We'll cover those next. So 2000 hertz magnet, if it's hot, is a guaranteed end. So your train will come to a stop. Normally, like I said, that means you've run a red light. 1000 hertz is used to warn you about upcoming speed reductions or anything like that. So 1000 hertz is the most common thing that you're going to come across, and they're the ones that you need to acknowledge. And then 500 hertz is the one that is effectively a much slower a warning, which means that you must be going slower for it. Traditionally, this is going to be what we find before a red light. However, this route really doesn't use the 500 hertz on the red lights anywhere near as much, because I'll come to the reasons for those next. This route makes a lot more use of things called GPA speed magnets. So these are able to check your speed at a point on the track, and on the next slide I'll show you pictures of what they look like so you can sort of get an idea of how they do that. If you're familiar with the UK system TPWS, they are pretty much similar to an overspeed sensor, and that they use a timing check, which then triggers a 2000 impulse if you're exceeding the assigned speed. So if you go over it too fast, you end up with a 2000 hertz impulse, which is what brings your train to a stop. Again, it's nothing fancy, but what it does do is it means that you're going to get speed checked at various points on the route. So if your reduction is from whatever speed you're doing down to somewhere between 95 and 140 kilometers an hour, there is no 1000 hertz check for that. There is nothing to acknowledge. But at some point along the way, there will probably be a GPA magnet there, or magnet sequence, testing your speed to make sure that you have decelerated appropriately. And what that means is, if you're supposed to decelerate, say from 160 to 130, don't dawdle getting down to 130 just because you know your train's got good braking and so you can come down a bit later on. Get that train down to the 130 so that when you hit the GPA magnets, they're all happy and they don't bring your train to a stop. Keeping GPAs happy is a good thing. If your speed reduction is down to 80 or 95, between 80 and 95 kilometers per hour, there will be 1000 hertz, but only if you're traveling above the speed that's indicated. Otherwise, the reason for this is that if you're traveling with a freight train, which has a P0b speed of 55 kilometers an hour, and the speed reduction is to 80 kilometers an hour, if you acknowledge that, because it was a hot 1000 hertz magnet, you'd have to slow your freight train down to 55 and then bring it back up to 80 again. So in this instance, Only if you're going above 80 would you then get the hot 1000 hertz magnet. There's no then generally then follow-on GPA magnet tracking that, because if it needed it, the 1000 hertz was already there to check you right at the beginning. If the speed reduction is down to 40 to 75 kilometers per hour, there is always a 1000 hertz magnet. Always. So if your speed reduction is down below 75 up to 40, then you will always be acknowledging that speed reduction. And that speed reduction can be on a signal, but it can also be on a post. So just this fixed metal posts on the side saying drop down to 60, you need to be acknowledging those. You'll see that there is a fixed P0b magnet on the track next to those as well. And then lastly, if the speed reduction is down to 10 or 10 to 35 kilometers an hour, that's not 1000 hertz, that's a 500 hertz magnet. So that's 500 hertz without the 1000 hertz coming in before it. So again, that's going to make sure that your train is running sufficiently slowly, and in case of a freight train, will drop you down to 25 kilometers an hour, particularly if you're on monitoring. So 500 megahertz? 500 hertz magnets are not used if they're not needed, because sometimes the caution area might be too long, in which case it's just a pointless waste of time, or in other cases because it's too short. There are some places on the route where you'll find that the distance between the two signals is insufficient for a 500 hertz magnet to matter. You know, if it went off, it still wouldn't stop you blowing the red light. So what in those cases they use is a GPA magnet prior to it to make sure that you're slowed down into that section in the first place. So I'll just show the next. So this is what a GPA looks like. The normal magnets, we've got these S on the side of them, and there's 3 of them. So you can see this one here is the entry magnet, then you've got the 2000 hertz, then you've got the exit magnet. And the train going over this sequence of 3 magnets is checking your speed, essentially. If someone reminds me at the end, I'll cover UM and O. Yeah. GPA is magnets that react to P0b, but essentially these two are detecting the presence of the train and cancelling out the 2000 hertz or something like that. So it is part of the P0b system, yeah. But anyway, this is, you can see the 2000 hertz here, and you can see the latter half of the GPA speed magnet there. So I just want to show you, when you see these patterns of magnets, that's what they are. These are the speed check zones. That's when you're being checked. And this comment over here, why did P0b suddenly stop me? Probably we were over speeding on a GPA. If you suddenly get P0b tripped in the middle of some driving when you're not near a signal, it probably you went over a GPA and you were going too fast. Yeah, check that. Magnets don't give data, no. Magnets are sensing or providing an impulse, and that's it. They're just like a light or a switch, essentially. Right, so when you first activate P0b and start moving, you're in what's called start program. And what you'll see is that you get the 1785 indicators flashing backwards and forwards. At that point, you need to be holding yourself to 45 kilometers an hour. And actually, you should probably hold yourself to 40. In a lot of cases, drivers will maintain 5 kilometers an hour below the limit, because that 45 kilometers an hour is the no tolerant. There's no tolerance for going above 45. At 46, the brakes are coming on. So generally, there's a reason for sticking at 40 kilometers an hour in this particular instance. In the real world, that's down to some of the imprecision of the way that some of the analog measurements are taken and so forth, which can actually mean that at these at the slower speeds, it can be a little bit less precise. But it's always good practice anyway. It gives you a little bit more leeway for anything going wrong. If the line ahead of you is clear, if you can see that you've got green light ahead of you and no problems, then you can press the P0b end button or the release button, and then that will release you from monitoring. Now, that will allow you to travel up to line speed, which is great. But if you get it wrong, and there's another P0b influence up ahead, then that'll bring the train to a stop. So think about it. Do you need to? What I would say is, if the speed limit is 40, there's no need to release. Just leave it where it is. After some meters, some hundreds of meters, I can't remember how many, then the flashing indicator will reset and go stable onto the relevant P0b mode. So for passenger trains, it will just set onto 85, and then the monitoring is over anyway. So when do you acknowledge a PZB? When you pass a signal or a post, you might need to acknowledge, depending on what it's telling you and what you're doing. So if anything on the signal is yellow, it probably needs acknowledging. And if anything on that signal is telling you to slow down, it probably needs acknowledging. There are no penalties for acknowledging unnecessarily, so you can smash that page down button as much as you want, and it's not going to cause any problem. It's B on the Xbox, circle on the PlayStation, and page down on the keyboard, or obviously you can use the mouse and click the real button if you want to. Matt Jamke, yes, if you're under 1000 Hz, you can't release PZB, but that's a start program. You're referring to monitoring rather than start programs, so you won't be under 1000 Hz, I think, on a start program. I can't think of any reason you would, unless you, unfortunately, where you started, you immediately rolled over 1000 Hz. But yes, if you're on 1000 Hz, then you can't press end. It won't do a penalty for it. It just doesn't do it. Right. Acknowledging. So when you acknowledge, when you press the acknowledge button, if the 1000 Hz lights up on the desk, you have to take action. So ideally, you'd actually already be expecting it and be taking that action. And this is one of the reasons I suggest driving without PZB first, is once you've gone through a phase of understanding the signals and you've point and spoken and you've sort of got to hang of, right, I know what these signals mean, I know what they're telling me to do. Then the next phase is layer on, and this is what I know PZB wants me to do. So even though you're not using PZB, you'd be saying, right, I'm going past this signal, I'm going to pretend to press the acknowledge button, and now I need to reduce my speed to 85 kilometers per hour within 23 seconds, which is the normal passenger one. Freight limits are different. So if you're doing 130 kilometers an hour and you go over a hot magnet, you press the page down key, the 1000 Hz lights up, you now have to slow down to 85 kilometers an hour. But that's all the signal tracks. If the signal wants you to drop lower than that, it doesn't matter. You should do, but 85 kilometers an hour is enough for it to do it. PZB is actually quite a primitive system. It feels like it's this complicated overlord that's watching what's going on, but as you gain more familiarity and comfort with it, you will realise, exactly what it's doing, exactly how it's working, and what it is and isn't capable of doing. The counter to this is that even if the speed limit is higher than the 85 kilometers an hour, and more likely in the case of freight with 70 or 55 kilometers an hour, you still need to drop to the PZB speed. So whether that's 55 or 75, and then come back up to whatever speed limit you want once that 1000 Hz is cleared. So always do what PZB wants you to. When PZB's gone away, then you can go back to what you think you should be doing. I'm just having a look at comments at the moment. So I still think it's stupid how a 90 reduction can trigger the PZB for dropping to 80 or 70 instead. If I'm understanding you correctly, if it's a 90 reduction and you're doing 90, it won't trigger PZB. That's in the sort of the small range there, where if you're doing or under the speed limit guarded, then PZB won't trigger. But if you're over that speed limit, it will trigger. The train takes the decision essentially as to what you're doing, whether or not to apply it, I think. Right, approaching a red signal. So this is kind of more for the normal signals, but it's similar for these ones. So at first you're going to get a go with an expect slow indication, which you're going to act and then slow down to 85 kilometers an hour. So that might be for a I can't remember the aspect now in HL signals, but you're going to get you're not just going to get told stop immediately. Generally, you're going to get following that. You're going to get a go followed by a stop. In which case you're going to be acknowledging it again because it's reducing your speed, and then you're going to be slowing down. Now, the 65 kilometers an hour only really applies if there's a hot 500 hertz magnet. So I always expect there to be a 500 hertz magnet. If there isn't one, that's fine. They're not actually in a lot of places in the Dresden route. And then you just need to make sure you stop before the red. So it's the stopping process is, it's along the same lines. Just keep slowing down until you can see where the red light is, and then pace yourself. Go expect slow is one flashing yellow with the green light. There you go. Thank you, how interesting. Right, okay, so that was PZB, sort of a whirlwind tour. I covered it better and more thoroughly in the other video. So, cover PZB again. I suggest if that interested you in PZB, hopefully it did, then go and look at the other video, and that goes into a bit more detail. I've seen some queries about AFB, so I just thought I'd do that, and we'll cover that in the game when we get there in a minute. So there's on the AFB Cruise Control for the likes of the 185, the 146, there are different procedures to enable it whether you're stationary or if you're moving. So if you're stationary, you want this little switch down here, which is the AFB toggle, assuming you can see that, and you want to turn AFB on. You should then see the blue bar start to appear on the HUD. You can then set the AFB control, which is this one, to your desired setting, release the brakes, apply power, and off you go. If you are moving, as I quite often am, I'm moving and I think, oh, I wish I'd set AFB up. Then you need to zero your throttle, set the AFB to maximum. I know that sounds counterproductive, or weird. Or maximum. What on earth? Maximum. Excellent. Go me. Set the AFB to maximum. Then you activate AFB, and then you'll see the blue bar is all the way across the speedometer. Bring the AFB back away from maximum until it gets back to the correct value that you want, and then you can apply power, and you're all good. What does 2000 Hertz PZB mean, and what speed is the maximum that magnetic? So 2000 Hertz is an immediate stop for the train. That's it wasn't in the stuff that Lucas sent me, Ed, so unfortunately it didn't get covered. Essentially, folks, if you see a red signal with any white lights on it, you're allowed to go through it, but you must activate BFL40, which is the other third of the buttons. It's this one here. There you go. So red with two whites, shunt signal, for example. You still have to activate or press and hold BFL40 and go below 40 kilometers an hour once you've received permission to go through it from the dispatcher. There you go. I've covered it. Right, Tempomat. The Talent 2 has a different sort of cruise control system called Tempomat, which is basically a speed maintenance system. And essentially what happens with that is that you apply the throttle to go. Once you've got to the speed you want, you press this button here and that'll toggle on the Tempomat system. Once the Tempomat is toggled, it will just maintain speed. If you pull the throttle back to 0 or to brake, it automatically deactivates Tempomat. And don't think of this like AFB. It really is nothing like AFB. You can plus or minus by a small amount the speed, but again, this is not meant for controlling the speed. If you want to slow down, use the handle, slow it down. When you've got to where you want, put it back into throttle and reapply the Tempomat again. Similarly, if you're sat at a station, you can't sort of set your speed to say 40 kilometers an hour and then start moving. You have to start moving and then press the button when you get to 40 kilometers an hour. It's a really simple system. Yeah, it is speed hold. Yeah, exactly, Richard Jeeves. It's a really, really simple system. It was quite effective and it does the job, but it's not AFB. So don't confuse it with what AFB can do. Right, okay. In Earth Waffle. Let's get in the game. That one, I think. Yes. Right. On my Xbox, because my computer is still not very good and I don't have my new computer yet. Yeah, I know the Talent 2 from Rapid Transit's broken. I've raised that with the team so we can go through it. So I picked up a couple of examples on here, and I'm kind of vaguely hoping that they will give us some idea, some examples to look at. So at 14:30, there we go, Coswick Grosenhain. Okay, so we are sat here on a red light at the moment. I'm just going to do the train setup nonsense. Put it into forwards, open the doors. Let's get the main beam lights on, get the cabin and desk light on, and put the train lights on. Right. Behind us here are the P0b and CIFA. So turn P0b on, turn CIFA on. And again, if you're learning P0b, don't turn CIFA on. So this is the HL signal. So I think the Talent 2 sitting over here goes shortly. He's already got his light look. So we'll sit here and we'll wait. Well, while we're at it, let's just set this to dark mode, because dark mode is always better. Just looking to see if I've missed any other questions. What's the switch next to P0b? You mean the bridging switch? That one there, I can't remember what P0b bridging is for. It's a fault switch, I think, of some description. Oh yeah, lock doors. Well, no desperate need to lock the doors. We're not going anywhere right now. Screens to dark mode. Is this circle with the light and the dark on it? The contrast. Right, so I'm just going to sit here and wait so that we can see a couple of different aspects come up on the HL signal here, because we're due out straight after that Talent 2 that just left. And he's going to wait for us. So in a minute we're going to get a different aspect. Any second now. Come on. Should we have shut the doors on red? Probably not. Carrot, probably not. We'll get there. Well, the controls moving the camera, using the controller. Right, here you go. So this is showing us the indication from that screenshot, which is yeah, this is probably where I got that screenshot from. So this is the expect stop, but proceed at 60 kilometers an hour. And you'll notice it's not possible for this to do the green. It hasn't got the green lights because these signals weren't done in the days of dual color LEDs. This doesn't even have the green ones, so this is only possible of showing me the 60, and it's because of the junctions up ahead, essentially, that it's doing that. Now I'm going to hang fire here just for a minute. Does the Talent 2 have a DRA equivalent? No, German trains don't really have a DRA equivalent that I can think of. So in a minute, there you go. So this is the, he says, rapidly firing back to his notes. I'm still trying to figure this stuff out myself, if I'm really honest. Hold a set speed over junction area, then max speed. So now there's nothing stopping us, going the line speed or the maximum speed of the train. However, following this signal, we are limited to 60 kilometers an hour because of the junctions, and that's what the yellow bar is telling us. So let's get going, and let's take this service to Grosenay and see if anything else fun comes up. Now, as we start moving, you'll see start program has kicked in. And the Talent 2 nicely tells me that my speed limit is 45. So we're limited to 45, and I'm going to just keep it down at 40, as I said. Alright, now that signal said proceed at 60, but because we're in start program, that's different. So I'm actually going to release from monitoring now by pressing this button here, which I've done on the controller. That was CIFA going off there, which now means that I can proceed up to 60 kilometers an hour, and once we've cleared the junctions I can go up to line speed. Probably cleared the junctions about now. We can proceed up to line speed. Cancel CIFA again. Right, so I've got a yellow aspect coming up now, so I can see it. So I'm already going to be powering down the train and starting to put the brakes on. the yellow light there. So as we go over that yellow light, we need to acknowledge it, and that gives us the 1000 hertz. We slow down. Now we're coming up to a red. It's a way away. Now, as long as we're under 85, we're all good. Now, if I see a single yellow like that, then I'm generally going to put it under 65 just to be on the safe side, because above 65, if there is a 500 hertz, it will get upset at you. Oh, hello, Jan. In reality, you need to keep the speed until you have passed the next signal. That was a Z sig. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Jan. Oh, so that was 60 kilometers an hour until this the yellow signal, was it? Got you. Right. So we're coming up on the next signal. And in this speed, the Talent 2 can stop pretty readily. Zoom in a bit with there, you can see it. It's just gone green, and I've got visual sighting of that going green. We're limited to 85 by P0b at the moment. In fact, the 1000 hertz just cleared, so which means I'm going to pull the speed back up again to line speed. Next stop is Weinbola, 1.6 kilometers. This is where having the next signal indicator on is a real cheat. It's a real help, but it's a real cheat, because you wouldn't know that there was a red signal coming up until you see this yellow signal under normal circumstances. So it gives you a good insight. Press the button, acknowledge that. Yellow. We're under 85, so P0b will remain cheerful. Come off the brakes a bit now, because need to get in the platform sometime this week. And now we can come to our stop. Why did the yellow signal not show up on the HUD? Because the yellow signals are distance. The HUD only shows main signals. Right, so we've stopped with 1000 hertz still, and the 85 is flashing away. Because having stopped under 1000 hertz, it's put me into what's called monitoring. So which means that when I speed back up again, I'll be under a limit of 45 kilometers an hour again, a bit like on Start Program. Gareth, you can turn off the next speed and signal indicators either with Control 4, or I think you can do it in the settings screen. Lock the doors. Why could you speed up before the green? Because I could see the green, and the train had come out of its restriction. Right, so the 85 was flashing before you stopped, because it will start. You'll go into monitoring mode if you're below, is it 15 kilometers an hour or something, for about 10 seconds. So it's not just because you've stopped; it's because you've gone slowly, essentially, that it will trigger it. So we're still limited to 40, so I'm going to go ahead and accelerate up to 40, and then hopefully the 1000 hertz will go away. Now I can't release from this monitoring while that 1000 hertz is still lit up, as was mentioned earlier on. So I'll just acknowledge that CIFA. So I'm limited to 40. As soon as the 1000 hertz gone away, in fact I can't release them the 1000 hertz because I've got nasty signals up ahead. So 1000 hertz is gone now, but I'm just going to keep it to the 40. Because we've got nasties up there. Got yellow here. I usually use AFB as a speed limiter, yeah, quite often, rather than as a cruise control. I use it to, I set it to whatever the P0b limit is, and then use that to control it. So we've just acknowledged the yellow light, so we're back on 1000 Hertz again. The monitoring will naturally end shortly. I got to be honest, I can't remember what the trigger is. I think it's either 1000 Hertz or 500 Hertz that you need to be careful of if you release. But I just generally assume that if I'm running under restrictions and bad signals, then I just let the monitoring do its thing, because it only lasts for a few hundred meters, so it's not the end of the world. Right, now it says we're monitoring is finished, and now we've just got the P0b 1000 Hertz, so I can now go up to 85, although we are stopping at Niederau, so. Oh yeah, you can release from 1000 Hertz, really? If you release and need to acknowledge in less than 1000 meters, yeah, okay. Well, once the yellow light goes off, you're no longer in 1000 Hertz, so yeah. Right, let's stop at Niederau. Stop. What have we got here? Let's open the doors. Without seeing it, I don't know whether, I presume that's the ZS3 telling me what speed limit is. Or one of these is going to be route indicators, maybe? I don't know. This is a fixed ZS3, so this is telling me always from this point it's 60 kilometers an hour, as opposed to what I guess that is, which is a dynamic ZS3. Electronic one. Lock the doors. What would have happened if you'd gone through the signal? What, this signal was green, so nothing. If you go through a red, it's 2000 Hertz and end game. Right, next station is Priestwitz in 9 kilometers. We've not got anything going on P0b, which means we're able to go at line speed, and the signal we just passed is green, so we've got nothing to acknowledge, so we can carry on. So what I'm going to do at this point is wait until we get up to the speed we want to go, and then I'll hit the temper map. That's a ZS6 below the signal, is it? Okay. Let's acknowledge that. So let's say I want to hold the speed at 100 kilometers an hour. So this is the temper mat toggle, and when we get to 100 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour, you just press it. That's it. You'll notice it's cutting this power, and it's now maintaining that speed. You see the AFB, the cruise control blue bar is indicated, confirming that it's on, and also on the control panel here, it's giving you the blue diamond where it is here as well. Now you can use this jog up here. If I just press that, you can jog it up 5 kilometers an hour. You can jog it up another 5 kilometers an hour. So you get limited control over what's going on. But if you cut it back down into 0, you'll notice that cruise control automatically switches off. So I can now apply some brakes, apply more power. Let's go a bit faster. That and just pop in the P0b there, show you the temper mat. That's now just going to maintain that speed for me. I can now bump it up a little bit, and that'll get me up to the limit. So temper mat is a really nice way, same as AFB. It's a way of controlling your speed, keeping you at the speed you want to be going, because sometimes you might go a bit slow if you're not paying 100% attention, or you might go a bit fast. So temper mat is a good way of keeping you driving optimally. Will the tempo map break the train on a downhill? There is a limited ability to slow the train. You should consider it a limited ability to slow the train, and that's it. You're still driving the train. It is not cruise control. But with a gentle downhill, it should be able to cope. When the G flashes on screen, does that mean you're overspeed with P0b? Yeah, G means slow down. .4 kilometres now to Priestwitz. So these number boards here are called hectometer posts. They're telling you where you are on the route. So this is 90.4, the previous one was 90.6. These 321 boards are counting down in 100 metres, I think, until, so you see a 321 and then the signal. So that gives you a countdown up to that signal. Let's see when we see any other indicators on the line. What is the ST light next to the speedo? I don't know what you mean. Oh, they're every 200 metres, so it's not. Oh, I see, it's 200 metres in total, 75, 75 and then 50. Got you. There you go. .6 kilometres. When will the Brighton line stream be? Not sure at this point. Okay, at some point. So we're down at 87.6, I think we're coming up to here. There it is. .6 kilometres. There's nothing in front of us now, well, we haven't caught up anyway. Still got a green light. Why is the speed limit 100 kilometres an hour? It's not. The maximum route speed is 160 because of the train you're using. The coaches, literally, the Dostos can't travel more than 160. Jolio, yes, they are. Right, so we can see this is flashing and has an indicator of 60. So I'm going to acknowledge that. 1000 hertz comes up. We've now got to drop down to 85 kilometres an hour. And we're due to be at 60 at the next signal. However, we'll be stopping before then for the, doing the station thing. But as long as we're under 85 kilometres now, P0b won't get upset with us, so we're all good. What service is this? This is RB31 at 2:30 PM on the Talent 2. Coming in nice and slow. Only had to go down to 85 kilometres an hour, but I tend to overbrake or underbrake massively. You know, I tend to hit one extreme or the other. You all know that. I find AWS boring, I've got to say. Okay, after getting used to the German stuff, I find I'm having to pay a lot more attention to what's going on. Plus, I can drive German routes without any of the HUD on, without even thinking about it. It's really, really good. I quite often drive without any of the HUD on now on a German route because the signals tell you what to do. There's the 60 kilometres an hour start there with the ZS3. Let's open the doors. Can you still have the next stop marker on without the HUD? Yeah, what I generally do is that. I drive like that normally these days. So you still got the stuff in the top left corner telling you when to shut the doors, what your time is, what your next instruction is, but you've not got the rest of the HUD cluttering the screen up. And I find it keeps me so much more immersed and being in the cab compared to without it. So that's Control 4, Control 4, Control 5, Control 6. I don't think you can do that without a keyboard on the console. Right, so we are in monitoring because of that reduction there to the 60 where we were on 1000 hertz. And so that limits us our speed. In fact, we've just come out of monitoring now, so all good. So 60 kilometers an hour is our speed limit at this point. Because that signal told us so. I quite like this little run up to Grosenhain. Yeah, I must admit, I generally run with the HUD when I'm trying to show people something, because otherwise it's not playing the game the way that they're probably playing the game. This 10 here, by the way, that 10 board that was there was a speed limit of 100 kilometers an hour, so we can speed up now. Just keep an eye out for these boards. Hectometer Mark 4. Stop the speeding. Red HUD indicator went to 60 before you passed the 60 sign, but the P0b was enforcing me down to 60 anyway. That will be a guarantee. Every time that route is taken, P0b will restrict you to 60. So again, if you do what the signals are telling you, it won't cause you any problems. Right, we've got a Flange flashing yellow light, so we're back on HL signal again, I think, and this is an expect reduced speed, is it? I can't remember. Yeah, expect 40, 60, I think it was. So, we've triggered it. We're down 1000 hertz. Oh, you need to go to the other office for arguments, Martha and Garcia. Of course, if you're not Monty Python fan, that probably went right over your head. Right, this is speed limit saying expect 60. Again, it needs acknowledging, because any speed limit under 85, 75, 85, one of the two, needs acknowledging. This is our yellow with a yellow bar, which is like we had at the beginning, which is expect stop but proceed at a limit of 60 kilometers an hour. Re-acknowledge that because it's a reduction. You feel it looks like any other German route. There's not much that can be done about that, really, because I think all German routes are going to look like German routes. But I think what you need to do is have a look at the visuals, what makes this one stand out in terms of the gameplay on the route, not just the looks. Although the looks, run it at night, that's all I'm saying, run it at night. Okay, coming down now to a stop. Yeah, I mean, you're right, I'd agree with you, Nice. It is superior to the other routes in terms of detail and so forth, totally. No, these signals are. I think Lucas did the signalling on this route, and he's given it a lot of care and attention. Not that my team don't, but Lucas knows these signals really, really well. Right, 500 hertz has kicked in. One of the 500 hertz magnets on this route. Like I said, I've seen people questioning, there's no 500 hertz magnets on every red light. Is that right? Is it missing? It's not missing. Some of them don't have it. Lucas has gone to great extents to place them where they should be and not place them where they shouldn't be. Gareth, why do you keep talking to yourself? I mean, it's entertaining, but... Lock the doors. This train would then normally proceed on to Cottbus, I think. Well, some German signals do have route indications. It's not a route-based signalling system, but some of them have that. I don't know. I presume it's just to provide extra information for the driver. It's Twitch that does that. Ah. I believe you. I believe you. Right, okay. So let's go and do something in the 146. Pop a bit of cloud on. And we're going to do this one as the 0810 service. See how this one looks. Once you learn P0b, it feels so good. It does. You feel at the end of a journey like you've you know, the closest you felt to sort of, oh, I feel like I drove that. Right, okay, so let's get the reverser in and put it on forward. Unlock the doors. Let's turn this horrible desk light off. I don't like that. Put the lights on. And let's give the passengers some lights. That's enough for here. P0b is over here on this train. So P0b and CIFA. And if you want your headlights to look properly, you need to adjust that switch as well. Otherwise they will still show the wrong thing. There you go. We've now got the right headlights. Lock the doors. Okay, so we're going to get going. Release the brakes and get some power applied. You might find in some cases that your brakes are not releasing until you've got 10 kilonewtons of force. Turn on AFB. I'm going to turn off on AFB in just a minute because, as I said previously, I've just forgotten to do it. I always do, but this is a good enough example of any. How do you turn on AFB if you are already running? First of all, throttle to 0. AFB to maximum. I know that doesn't sound like it makes sense, but it does, trust me. Down here is the AFB main switch. Right, now I can't get up and show you it, but essentially, trust me, it's under that lip, and what's happened is we've made it to where you can use it through the lid, so you don't have to do weird gymnastics to actually operate it. So AFB is now turned on. You can see the blue light, the blue bar has appeared on the HUD, so I can now bring this back to what speed I want to do, which is going to be 40 kilometers now because we're still in start program, and then I can apply the power. Alright, power is being applied and AFB will take effect. How do you lock the doors without using controller buttons? You can't. This one doesn't have control. Oh, sorry, you can. You operate this one. In fact, lock doors is just flick this white switch forward. Alright, so this is the us going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn AFB off at Radible and return it on from stationary so you can see how the two are different. Right, so we've come out of monitoring now, so I'm just going to push that up to the speed limit. Why does start program kick in going over a 500 Hz magnet? I don't know. I rely on Ed or Lucas to answer that one, or Jan, as to whether that's right or not. So this has got a route indicator of S because we're on S-Bahn tracks. We're actually crossing under the avoiding line here. I need to be stopping here. Why did no one tell me I needed to be stopping? You're all mean. Ah, no problem. We're going to make it. It'd be right. It'd be right. Yeah, thanks, Moggy. Right, perfect stop. Exactly as I was expecting to do it. So I'm going to reset the train now and open the doors, and then reset the train as if we'd started from scratch, as if we'd just got in it. So I'm going to turn AFB off. Right, so this is how you'd normally expect AFB to look, yeah? So once we've got the doors closed, right, now I'm going to turn AFB on. We notice AFB control is minimum. V-select is minimum, so I'm going to turn on. Where are you? Turn on AFB, and you can see the blue bar has just appeared at the bottom of the AFB of the speedometer there, confirming it's there. Now I can turn this up to the speed I want, which I'm going to go with 40 again. I usually start at 40 out of a station just to remind myself what the deal is. Probably should release the brakes just for the giggles, and then apply some power. Free force meters going up, and once it gets to 10, then the brake cylinder releases. That's like a hill start function feature, I think. Right, so we've not got any reason to keep going slow, so I'm going to push the speed up to 120. I'm using the controller with the operation shift key to control the AFB without having to look at it. If it gets stuck on 1.5 psi, you're probably holding it in the release state rather than leaving it in the running state. Don't hold it in the release state. So Jan says, going over 500 Hz, it triggers either 500 Hz monitoring or an instantaneous penalty brake. Right, next stop is coming up again. I noticed a bit earlier this time. Well, I think one of the problems, Gareth, is that I don't think it's supposed to be 10 kilonewtons. I think it's supposed to be 10 kilonewtons combined, so 2.5 kilonewtons per axle or per motor. So it's requiring too much at the moment, I think. So I need to get that double checked. So if you're stuck on 1.5 psi, I would probably suggest you do a brake charge for 15 seconds. Overcharge the brakes for 15 seconds and then release it. And don't touch brake overcharge after that for 2 or 3 minutes. Because it probably means the brakes have overcharged. Open the doors. Can you still brake properly after overcharging? Well, you shouldn't touch the brakes after you've overcharged. That's the trick. because otherwise you'll be re-overcharged again and you'll need to redo the release procedure. So you need to effectively do an overcharge procedure when you know you're not going to need it for a couple of minutes. If you do, you can, but then you'll need to redo it again afterwards. Brakes off, power on. Why doesn't the black locomotive have pantographs up? When it's an AI train, for some reason, the code that's initialised in the pantograph into the up position is failing. And so the team were looking to find out why. There's nothing weird on the P0b, 2 kilometres to Radical Weintraub, so we can just continue to let the thing accelerate this time. So this is interesting. I can see up in the HUD, in the cheaty screens, that we've got a red light coming up ahead, but I don't know that as a driver, because I've not seen that. I'm waiting for some sort of a yellow indicator, although we're stopping at the station, so it probably doesn't matter. We need to stop at the station. Stopping at stations, it's a thing. I like to do it every now and again, but not too often. I call them up. There is no AFB or temper mat on Dostos, no, Keith. In fact, you'll notice that there's actually an empty slot on the dash where the AFB lever would have been, but they were never fitted in real life. Where are we right now? We are here, coming into Radabost. Lock the doors. Wait for it to get us going. No, why? It doesn't feel right that it takes this long to get moving, it has to be said. Right, again, we've not hit any magnets or anything, so P0b is behaving. Distance is green. Have I thought about doing a regular Friday night chill out of random routes? I kind of like that idea, Wolfboy, to be honest. But I think they've got other plans for Fridays. Radical Ost, platform 2. We're coming up to in a minute. I'm going to cut the power now. Begin the gentle braking. Right, this is a yellow signal, so I'm going to press P0b acknowledge. Again, the goal now is to get down to 85 kilometers an hour within 23 seconds, which we've now done, which means P0b will no longer get uptight, and we have to stop in 400 meters. So that probably means that there might be a 500 hertz magnet along here somewhere potentially. So again, want to make sure that you're underneath that 65 kilometer hour trigger speed. Oh, hello, Mr. Icy. Right, that's that one. Is Elpn a thing on Riesa Dresden? No, it isn't. No, there's no Elpn. The route speed doesn't go above 160, and the density of trains doesn't warrant it either. It's not like the S-Bahn and the Munich S-Bahn. What's the difference between CIFA, P0b and Elpn? CIFA is basic vigilance, like Afb in France. P0b is a bit like KVB in France. It's the signal monitoring. Elpn is like TVM 430. It's the high-speed system. Right, we're under 1,000 hertz. We've stopped, so we're in monitoring. So our speed limit is 45. I'm dropping the Afb down to 40 so that we don't forget. And it looks like we've got a red light anyway. Let's get going. No point getting too fast. Remember, we are driving towards a red light. The rules are that you're not supposed to drive towards a red light. So for German drone drivers out there, there you go, 500 hertz has kicked in. Would I have stayed in the platform then, or got out of the platform? Are the routes with unique train signaling not in TSW? Tell you what, RETB would be fun. No, it's not a tapping controller, Gareth. It's just the way the motor is wired. It's the way the motor is technical stuff about motors, basically. But my son understands and I don't really. Okay, that's now applied. We're still stuck to... I've got to drop the speed limit now down to 20 because we're in 500 hertz. We were waiting for this RE50 service to come across. That was the... because it's just switched across from the main tracks. .500 hertz has come off, so up to 40. I'm going to release from monitoring, and that means I can speed up. This block here, by the way, is literally a 4-kilometre block on the S-Bahn. So sometimes you're just going to get stuck at that signal if there's a train wandering along this 4-kilometre section. But it's real. Because there's a couple of services I was playing where I got stuck, and I'm like, okay, is this broken? And there was just a train in this section, and eventually it does clear. No, I can't tell you anything about the teaser on the tickets, or even if it is a teaser, or anything. That might just have been Lucas and Ed being... Oh, I've missed this one. 4 kilometres, he said, yeah? I'm braking. The good news is there's no signals here, so I can reverse. I'm too used to driving these non-stop services that that's it. So in reverse, we're in 1,000 hertz, so we're limited in what we can do in speed. Oh, humiliated in front of an ICE driver. That's a gnat, I think, isn't it? No, because I missed the station technically. So I don't know. Brakes off. There we go. The shame. That'll do. Flashing 1000 Hz is because I'm in reverse, Kevin, which means I think we're limited to 45 kmh. Great to see you do what we've all done 100 times. Yeah, I do it all the time. I blame chat personally. Come on, everyone, get on. Shall I be mean and shut the door in their face? I do it in front of those ones because they're just slow. Oh, freight train with pink containers. Shut the door. Set to forward again. If you do a reversing move like that, don't forget to put it back into forwards again. Sounds like a silly thing, but it's amazing how often you'll forget it. There you go. It's stuck there at 1.6, and all I did was just knock it back into release briefly. Next station, Dresden Pieschen. It should still be there, Gareth. I've never taken it off. Right, speed limit is still 45 for shenanigans reasons. I'm going to release it though. 1.1 kilometers for Dresden Pieschen. I find I fail a lot less at the game as well when I've not got the HUD on, because I'm inherently having to pay a lot more attention. The HUD gets you into a false sense of I only have to glance at it every now and again, and that's why I run into problems, even if I'm not streaming. Whereas if I haven't got the HUD on, you must pay 100% attention, otherwise you are going to miss stuff, and you only get to miss it once. Then the information's gone. Whether it's a speed limit that you should be going or whatever. You can cheat. You can bring up this screen and say, oh, that's what the speed limit should be. Well, forget the fact that has apparently lost its mind. I know Jackie's been looking at that. But you can look at the pause screen and see what the speed should be. But it's not the same as having that presence of knowledge. And I find that you feel so much more immersed and present in the game when you turn the HUD off and get used to it. Yeah, it's the HUD's fault. Indeed, Moggy. Well done. Come on, get going. Jeez. Slowed down way too much. But yeah, I would encourage you to try turning off bits of the HUD. Like I said, Control 4, Control 4, Control 5, Control 6, if you've got the ability to use a keyboard. And just try it. I was surprised at how, if you pay attention to what's going on, it's actually really enjoyable. Really, really enjoyable. Lock the doors. Power up. You do, or you have to, Gareth. I'm looking at the what's going on here. I'm looking at what's going on out here, paying so much more attention rather than flying the HUD. go via coming up, so I'm going to got a 70 limit coming up here. It's got P0b magnet, so I'm going to acknowledge it. It's under the speed restrictions, so I need to acknowledge it. I think the PIS might have got confused when I pushed it into back and then forwards again. That's the only thing I can think of. Keely scaling. Right, let's cut the power. Got a yellow light coming up. Caught up to whatever's in front again. We're under 85, so there's no problem there. Stopping in 300 meters. Problem there. Acknowledge the 1000 hertz. Oh no, we're not stopping at 300 meters. Let's go by a donkey. No, I don't have the secret Cytec speedo running, Tony. No, no, no. I purposely try and keep these streams to what everybody else can do. Mind you, I can't use the Cytec thing anyway at the moment. One day, maybe. Right, the reason the signal changed when I got here, it sort of like, it seems like, oh, someone's forgot a dispatch beyond. No, that's done on purpose. Because otherwise, the trains book out and block up all of this junction from like up here somewhere. Because of the way the signal blocks work, especially that big 4 kilometre block in there. So there's essentially a hold back here that stops the dispatcher allocating until you're in general vicinity of it, and then clears the signal long before you get there. So you shouldn't get any speed restrictions because of it. Yeah, it's the same idea as on Cathcart.
Zifa.
Red and yellow W signs stands for Warten, or Warten, which is wait. And as I understand it, you stop at the W sign, request permission to go through, contact the dispatcher, and then proceed when you've got the appropriate permission. I'm sure someone will correct me if that's wrong. We're limited actually because of restricted monitoring, so I'm going to set AFB back to 40. AFB is your friend with P0b because you can use it to remind yourself not to overspeed on these things, which is great. Again, brake cylinder has got itself stuck again, so I presume this is what one of you was saying earlier on, and all I'm doing is just tapping it into release. I don't know why it gets stuck like that, but tap it into release will then set it going again. Green lights. Next station is Dresden Neustadt. Russian trains would be awesome. They're so cool. Vinogradov. But no plans at the moment. I know there's an active Russian community working on TS1. Some of the stuff they produce is really awesome. I think because of start program, or because of monitoring, Gareth, because if you're coming up against a signal which is red and it's anywhere near you, you've gone over a 500 hertz magnet. At that point your speed limit is 25 kilometers an hour. So you'll speed up, bang the 25 kilometers and come to a screeching halt. If the red light is a bit further away and you haven't hit the 500 hertz yet, you'll start speeding up. Then you'll hit the 500 hertz, bang, you'll come out, and then you'll come to a screeching stop. You know, it's It doesn't take too much with those, and if there's any kind of monitoring going on because you hit the 1000 hertz, sorry, that's what will grab you. You've hit the 1000 hertz, you've stopped, so you're now in monitoring, which means you've got a 45 kilometre hour limit. As soon as you hit the 45, bang, P0b is bringing your train to a stop. So you don't need DRA because P0b is doing it all for you, much more severely. You don't need to remember. Well, you do need to remember, but as with all things, the train will check your memory. Right, off to Dresden Mitte. Right, we're outside and monitoring. Next station is Dresden Mitte, 1.6 kilometres. And I know this area is 60 kilometres now because it's all 60 kilometres right now around here. We can do one more run after this. So we ended up with something of a Friday chill out anyway. Acknowledge that one, it's 80, but we're going under 80, so we're all good. Could be you don't need DRA because German drivers pay attention. Ooh. Ooh. I think you'll find all drivers pay attention. But with all the safety systems on the provided by P0b, you don't need DRA because P0b is already doing it.
Sifa.
I don't really have a favourite song, okay? I listen to all sorts of different music, but wouldn't say I have a favourite. I have a favourite of the moment, perhaps. But not an all-time favourite. Yeah, I'm doing a freight run next, Richard Jeeves. Oh, the new ABBA song's out. I haven't actually listened to them yet. Night setting with clear skies and snow. Interesting. Not tried it yet, no. Load. Block the doors. Are they on Spotify at all, Matt Jamka? Oh no, here we go. Brake cylinder stuck again. Tap it into release. And away it goes. Dresden Freiburger Straße. When a steam engine's coming, at some point in the future. No date yet. Does this have a road runner on it? I don't think so. You find the 101 hard to run with IC carriages. Why? What's hard about it, Daniel? They are on Spotify.
Sifa.
Awesome.
Sifa.
Oh, there's a cracker of a signal. Look. 6 at this signal, expect 4 at the next one.
Sifa.
Ooh, slow down, slow down. Well, let's see how the time is after the end of the freight run. Dosto heading in. 146. That'll be another S1. Doors. What am I? Am I an S1? Yeah, I'm an S1. Power on. Let's drop the speed to 5. I can see the warning for it up there anyway. There it goes. Yeah, we'll have a look at the freight modes in the freighter we're going to do next, Gareth. Thank you for the reminder. Right, that's a reduction in speed on an advanced signal, so I need to acknowledge it. Again, if a signal's got something yellow on it, you probably need to acknowledge it. S1 goes to the Meissen branch, S2 goes to the airport, Kevin. Generally the S1 is the 146, generally the S2 is the 143, but then certainly not hard and fast rules.
Sifa. Sifa.
Throttling off because we're stopping here at Dresden Hauptbahnhof. Got a yellow signal coming up here, so we'll need to acknowledge that. Re-acknowledge the 1000 Hertz. Just Eric, you're gonna need to show me on a video what you mean. I can't relate what you're saying while I'm driving. And yes, Jan or Lucas can answer that one. Do you hold actively the signal? No, I'm just literally, you can hear, just as once I've gone over it, I just tap the acknowledge button. I think some people press and hold as they go through, but you can't press and hold on the console because that holding the B button is what causes contact dispatcher to happen. So just tap it once you've gone over the magnet. You've got a few seconds. John, it's the AI trains that are not raising their pantos for some reason. Don't know why. Yeah, set to, and the script is there to do it, but for some reason isn't running. But yes, someone is looking at it. There you go. That was S1 Coswick to Dresden. Right, and now we're going to have a look at a 185. Doing a wee bit of freight. Explore. Oh, timetable. Press all the right buttons. 185, and I wanted to do Dresden Roderau. But I didn't write down which one I was going to do. So, yay me. Let's do that one. 12:30? No. Let's do it something... No, we'll do it earlier in the day again. For some reason I have a thing about I like earlier in the day trains. That's 37 minutes. This probably means we're going to get held up a bit and shenanigans are going to happen. Because these two are exactly the same, but notice the duration of one of them is longer. That probably means shenanigans. The problem with night, it's great to show things off. It's not very good to show what buttons I'm pressing and all the rest of it. So, right, okay. So again, reverser in and forward. I haven't got to worry about passengers. Yay. CIFA, P0b, LZB. Not that we need it. Put the headlight, signal lights onto headlights mode. Now, P0b mode is down here on this one. And the modes you can have are U, M, or O. You think of U as under, M for middle, and O as over. O is normally for passenger trains. M is normally for mid-weight freight trains, and U is for heavy freight trains. And it's based on how much you can brake. So if your ability to stop is limited because you've got a heavy train, then you want the U setting. And U setting will limit you to 55 kilometers an hour on the 1000 hertz. M setting limits you to 70, and the O setting is the 85 that you're familiar with. So this train defaults to M, which is perfectly fine for this train. So you'll notice it says 70 here now instead of 85. It would say on O. So that means we can go there. Now I don't, off the top of my head, recall all the different timings and so forth, but the golden rule essentially is when you're over 1000 hertz, you need to get to what this says. You need to get to 70, not 85, or 55 if you're in the U. Get down to that speed. It also affects what your maximum speed is. So on P0b O, your maximum speed is 160. On P0b M, your maximum speed is 125, and on P0b U, your maximum speed is 105. I think someone will correct me if I got that wrong, I'm sure. Right, let's put the headlights on. Right, okay. Brakes off. We'll put AFB on. Again, you can see it through here. AFB is on because it's stationary. Set it to 40 kilometers an hour and apply some power. We've got a yellow ZS3V6 there. Brakes are coming off. So the Elpn switch, I can't remember exactly what it does, but it's not what most people think it does. But I can't remember what it does too, so that's not very helpful. No, it's something. It's related to that red leader, but I can't remember exactly what the detail of it is. There's some really very specific thing that it does.
Ziva.
Oh, electric brake controls transmit brake instructions immediately, while pneumatic travels obviously slowing down the train using the air brake. Yeah. As far as I'm aware, that's all set up to work. But it's an element of control I've not played with yet. Right, we're not in any kind of monitoring, so let's go up to the limit. Is there a hotkey to turn on and off safety systems? Yes, Control Enter and Shift Enter. The numeric keypad enter. No, it isn't, it's the normal one. Control Enter and Shift Enter. One of them is for things like P0b and an AWS, and the other one is for things like CIFA and DVD. In real life, does a train brake lever also move the electric brake lever? Yes, it does. There's a physical interlock between them. Right, that's a warning of a 60, which we need to acknowledge.
Zugbeeinflussung.
But we're going under 70, so we don't have to do anything about it. Yeah, I'm in the 185.5 at the moment. With white cars going to the crayon factory for colouring in. Have I ever been to Germany? Yeah, 2 or 3 times actually. Went to a place called Jena via Leipzig to do a course. And I went to Frankfurt and then Bonn twice for Star Trek conventions, because you got to, really. That was a long time ago. And then I went to Gamescom in Cologne 2 or 3 times. Yes, the signal is the one on your right. Good shout. There was an 80 limit there. We just the 8 sign on that board was the one telling us we can do 80. So in a moment, once the whole train is in the zone, then we can speed up. See, I'm the wrong way round, okay, because I generally now look on my right, and whenever I drive English routes, it messes me up. Gonna fly through Dresden Neustadt. Everybody be afraid and jump at my super deep, powerful horn. Well, I'm going through Dresden Neustadt more faster than just about every passenger train does, because they all stop there. I'm not sure we'll get in the way of P0b shenanigans, but I picked this one because it was a longer service, so I'm assuming that means things will go here pear-shaped. RE50 coming in. There's the 10 that says we can do 100 kilometers an hour. Was the 160, although we won't be doing 160. We're in P0b M, so we're limited to 125, and I should be doing 120. There you go. 120. Yeah, I've ridden ICE, Sonic Scott, when I went to Jena.
Sifa.
So one of the things I do want to reiterate, we're just going over one now actually, is speed magnets, the GPA speed magnets. If you suddenly find yourself, if you find yourself going, say, in a 160 km/h limit, and you get a speed reduction to 130 or something, then don't waste any time getting down to 130, because there's probably going to be a GPA speed test. And it will make sure you're following, where you should be on the curve to get down to the target speed. I think it's the speed limit plus 10 kilometers an hour it checks for. So, yeah, if you suddenly find yourself driving along and suddenly the P0b kicks in and jams all the brakes on, that's probably why.
Sifa.
Any routes here other than southeastern I've been on in real life? Don't know. I'd have to think about that a bit. I don't think so. I've not been to Miniature Wonderland. No, I'd love to at some point. It looks really amazing. Yeah, GPA magnets are a 2000 Hz speed test, yes. You get it wrong and you get 2000 Hz and it hurts. Yeah, we did the S-Bahn out of rode the VR 423s out of Cologne Airport. This train is pulling cars. We've got Leers wagons. This is Radical Ost. How can you tell it's Radical Ost? Narrow gauge tracks. Over there. That's what tells you you're at Radical Ost. Super Steve, if you want to ping a support ticket in about that, I'll get Dovetail Live team to look into that. I've seen a couple of people reporting problems with the Mastery Challenges not ticking off. Won't be long now. We'll be on the. We'll come off this and go on the avoiding line. Someone can find a good BR101 service, I'll run that after this, since it was asked for. Find me one with some P0b shenanigans.
Ziva.
Avoiding line. Any minute now, eh? Not too far now for the 130. Does the 363 being a shunter have any different P0b requirements? I don't think so. Same rules apply.
Ziva.
A is not a speed, it's a route indication, Thelonious. It's telling me where I'm being directed, which is relatively unusual, having route indications. So we're on the avoiding line now. That was painful, wasn't it? As soon as we next. Yeah, 10. 130 limit starts now.
Ziva.
.60 starts now. Always bad guy, you know me.
Ziva.
We're doing 120, aren't we? Do we act speed warnings or just limits? Reductions are what you need to act. And you need to the reduction is, well, when you ACK it, you need to follow P0b's instructions or guidance requirements. So yeah, if you're doing 160 and you go past a 6, then you need to get down to 85 within 23 seconds if you're a P0b, and you'll need to do that immediately. But if you're doing, say, 60 to 50, then there's no there is a P0b acknowledged, but you're already under the 85, so you can just slow down at your leisure. So as long as you end up at the right place. Whereas the CIFA is a foot pedal, if I remember rightly. Can't really see it though. Oh, if you mean to turn it on, yeah, it's these switches over here. How do you know which reductions to acknowledge? If you go back to the slides earlier on in the stream, and I'll be putting making them available to the community team to put on the forums, that tells you which ones you need to acknowledge. But if you're at an 85 km/h speed limit, I think as long as you're doing under 85, you shouldn't need to acknowledge it. But if you're doing more than 85, then you will. It depends what speed you're going. At the 85, it depends what speed you're going, whether 1000 Hz is active or not, or whether it'll be treated as active by the train. $140 limit, again, nothing I need to do with that.
SIFA.
Button to your right. There's a button there. Look. That's one button, but I think it's mapped to the foot pedal. No, there's no LZB sections on this route, Jan van der Loof. P0b doesn't make you act 160 to 130, because then you'd have to slow down to 85 and back up to 130 again. 120 limit, which is fine, we're doing about 120.
SIFA.
You're travelling around 120 and at a permanent 90 kph reduction you're penalty braked. Yeah, that probably makes sense, because I think 90 is in the range, because I think 95 was the 95 was the limit where it's not done. So at 90, if you're doing more than 90, then you'll need to acknowledge it.
SIFA.
What trains can do 160? The IC3M, the BR101. Can't remember the other ones. Everything is in theory. Maximum speed with P0b 55 is 105 km/h. So I would generally drive at 100. If that. I mean, depending on the brake mode that you've set up, if you're in brake mode G, you probably want to limit yourself to 90. 146 and Talent 2 can do 160, there you go. Basic 15 kilometres. We've not had any shenanigans so far, but that suggests we're probably, because we're going to Rotherham, which is up here. So I imagine that there's going to be some kind of shenanigans around this area, or possibly when we join back up with the main line. Bad guy. I mean, realistically, it would be a simple maths that would tell you what it is, but you don't even have access to the right information to understand that. What the general guidance I do when I'm doing a scenario, when I'm running a train, is how easy is it to stop. If it's stopping, in good time, then I might run it in PCBM. If I have any doubts whatsoever, I'll run it in PCBU.
SIFA.
Red lead, if the train weighs more than 1,600 tons, mode U, else mode M. There you go. Bugs, Matt Jamka, bugs.
SIFA.
Yeah, so our train at the moment is only 576 tons. It's a tiny one. I've seen you mess up with PCB too many times to even try. Nah, you'll be a lot better at it than I am, Robert. Go for it. Go in, feet first, try it. You'll be fine.
SIFA. SIFA.
The German driver timetable will say hectometer posts are breaking point for stations. It wouldn't surprise me if drivers use a certain hectometer post, yeah. They're frequent enough. That's a bug Kevin Simon and the team are looking at it.
SIFA.
That's the line up to Berlin. We are pulling off of that so that we can swing back round to the main line. Alucard, this is the Nahverkehr Dresden line. And I am on the avoiding line up here. IC service at 5:29 AM. Well, everyone wanted a bit at night time, didn't they? There we go. 5:29 IC service. Cool. We'll do that next time. And then we'll call it a night after that then. Before Natalie starts sending me messages going, Matt.
SIFA.
It's long curve, yeah, really, Lucas. Never-ending long curve. See you later, Dominic. Enjoy.
SIFA.
Oh, we got a red light coming up in 2.9 kilometres. Thank you, Rich Pipe. CFA. I can see a yellow light. I'm going to brake. Now at this point I need to get down to 70 kilometers an hour once I've acknowledged.
Zugbeeinflussung.
And then I need to be down to 45 kilometers an hour for a 500 hertz if there is one. Ease up the brakes just to let them come off and recharge. Like that until I can see I've got a green light. P0b still limiting me to 70, but it means that I can now set my Afb to 70 and reapply power again, because I can see visibly I've got a green light, so I'm good to go. What was that? What's Matt's favourite programming language? C#. Programmed in lots of different programming languages, but I love C#. Right, we're back out of any kind of control again. So I'm going to speed up a little bit, but clearly that signal implied we're following something, so I'm going to pretend I can't see the yellow in the top right corner. This is the thing, with cheat mode on, you get a lot more advanced warning of what's coming up ahead of you, whereas if you were driving this blind without the HUD turned on, you'd be speeding up right now, probably. Cheers, TM.
SIFA.
TSW's in-cab signalling, yeah, indeed, yeah.
SIFA.
Right, see the yellow. As we go over that, once we're under the 70 km/h now, acknowledge. I'm just going to run it down to the 45. If you had route knowledge, then you wouldn't run it down this far because you'd know that the signal is still 1.1 kilometers away. But I'm assuming I don't have route knowledge, and if I didn't have route knowledge, I would take it easy. So I'm going to set my Afb to 40 to stop me from accidentally overspeeding. What if the speed sign is attached to the signal? Same rules apply. It doesn't matter where that speed sign is. If it's, you know, depending on its speed, you need to acknowledge it according to exactly the same rules, whether it's a metal plate on a post or whether it's an LED's lit up. Do I like Jeff Marshall? Yes, I met Jeff Marshall. He's very good. I haven't watched an awful lot of his videos, but I've watched a few. They're very good. It's got a lot of interesting topics. Yeah, you got on very well with it.
Receiver.
Right, we're being held up here now. We're now in restricted monitoring at 500 Hertz, so my speed limit is 25, so I'm going to preset my AFB so I don't forget. I presume we're waiting for something ahead of us. Oh, we've got a 363 coming down. Ah, it's RE50 that we're waiting for. Come on, slow coach, get out of my way. Get to see the 363 arriving. One of these days. There's something exciting will happen and a 363 will arrive. Or something even more exciting will happen and the signal will go green. How did you know it's a 363? Because it's a loco and 5, and the only thing that's a loco and 5 in here is the 363 hauling 5 tankers. Go, got our green. Be a minute for the brakes to come off. Now we're going to have to wait for the rest of the brakes to come off. Any sign of that 363? Takes a minute for the brakes to release on the whole train. We'll be able to get going soon. There it goes. Right, we'll come out of monitoring, so I'll put it back up to 70. Any sign of that little blue shunter? Here it comes.
Receiver.
Lovely. See you later, bad guy. Now we're at 70. Let's pump it up to the 120. Coming up on a go via to non-crits. See you later, Gaming Group. Are we in HL signalling yet? I don't remember where that starts again. I know Reset has HL signalling, but I don't remember where it crosses back over again. Oh, we are we? Yeah, okay. Right, it's not too far now until the Rotherham yard. Bahnhof Weissig to Bahnhof Riesa. There you go.
Sifa.
.8 kilometres to Rotherham now.
Sifa.
There's the yellow. Get the brakes on. Acknowledge that. Slowing down. IC 101 coming on the way. Staggered platforms are best. Constantly knows how's it going. Have you got a 1X, Robert Williams? A Series S should be better than a 1X, yeah. Right, so this is a blinking yellow over yellow. Hold a speed, which would be 60, and then 40 or 60 kilometers per hour speed. This signal needs to be acknowledged.
Zugbeeinflussung.
.6 kilometers to Rotherham. We are just here. We're going to be taking the point off of there.
Sifa.
Riesa off to the left, Rotherham to the right.
Sifa.
Angelo, if you're asking if Bad Schandau is part of the route, it is Bad Schandau. The route stops at Dresden Hauptbahnhof. Right, we've got an expect stop at 60 kilometers an hour. I think like main Specibahn, the freight trains generally use U because they're in goods mode as well.
SIFA.
Particularly
Zugbeeinflussung.
important when you're running the westbound trains because you'll find that in PCB mode M, you'll find it's tough to slow the train down. Whereas in U, you'll find it easier.
SIFA. Zugbeeinflussung.
No, I didn't. I should have. They might only. I don't know the detail of Warten, to be honest. How interesting.
SIFA. Zugbeeinflussung. Zwangsbremsung.
I don't know why that hit.
Zwangsbremsung.
Okay, I don't understand why that hit. We suddenly went over a magnet, but hey, we stopped on the marker, so let's just call that mission complete. Alright, I will try and find out what went wrong there. Right, one more, because it was asked for. BR101. Get a cloud. Make it November, December. Snow to the max. Bit of wetness on as well. Put some cloud on. And run with that. And what was it? 0529. Right. What could go wrong? Cab lights on. Master light is on. Lights on, release, train lights on, unlock the doors, unlock the brakes, put some on, let's put the reverser in, put that into forwards. Stand up a minute.
Störung.
AFB main switch on.
AFB.
PCB and stuff. And does this have a light switch? Set it over to to headlights. Right. PCB mode is O. Brake mode is R, which is good. Right, lock the doors. We should be good to go.
Schließvorgang eingeleitet.
No, the CIFA release thing was fixed. You want a quick look in the IC coaches? Alright. Isn't it nice? Quiet service, this. Right, let's get back in.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Right, release the brakes. Set AFB to 40 and apply power. Be a little bit more careful. Turn train lights on. I did, didn't I? Train lines on. Maybe I said it wrong. There you go. Ooh, you can see so much.
SIFA. Zugbeeinflussung.
So that's telling us that Biggie expects 60.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Need that. Not that. That one might though. 60 expect 50.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Desk lights. Okay. Where are the desk lights? What do you mean? Oh, you mean this one? Got you.
SIFA. Zugbeeinflussung.
The 50 warning.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Not the 50 warning. The white light is telling me it's a repeater, or I think it's telling me it's a repeater. That one. 1000 hertz is finished.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Right, I think speed up a bit now. Hitches are sometimes caused by loading of things, although they shouldn't be causing that problem, and the team are constantly trying to improve it.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Wow. Losing grip on the loco wheels quite quickly, but the coaches are slowing us down. Loading or unloading objects, yes indeed. Yeah, unloading is actually more stressful for the engine than loading. standard garbage collections.
Kühlfreigabe.
It's using a really old technique from GC.
Kühlfreigabe. Zugbeeinflussung.
Of course I'm still alive, Joel. Not tonight, Sean. Not tonight. This is an extra one I wasn't planning on doing, to be honest. But try and do some more later, another time. Just get on the train. Jeez, make it look hard. Next stop, Risa. Well, someone wanted to have a wander around the coach, KTL, so here we are. We had a wander around the coach. And this has resulted in me running to Pedalston Standard Time. PCB's not doing anything funky, so we can keep going. Yeah, it shows you when you're running late and by how much, roughly. It's all good, Daniel. I'm enjoying it. Besides, we're only just coming up to 3 hours of a stream, so tis but early. Oh, I like this, following that other train in the dark. We should get a speed bump shortly. The 160, so the 100 should happen, there you go, and the 160 should happen momentarily.
SIFA, Zugbeeinflussung.
Bye train. Yeah, all the troublemakers have gone, I think, Vixitron hoster.
SIFA, Zugbeeinflussung.
Set for 160, and we're off. They're in detention doing PZB driving, yeah. They've got to acknowledge SIFA 5,000 times before they're allowed out. Mark Madeley, no, I'm still here. I respect that.
SIFA, Zugbeeinflussung.
Slowly building the speed up to the 160.
Zugbeeinflussung.
The Ebola Anades. No, well, there is a desire to get Ebola working. There are no plans to do it at the moment. Would love to get Ebola working. Yeah, Zugbeeinflussung is big happening because I'm acknowledging CIFA, and on the Xbox controller it operates both, and this train doesn't have the new thing where they're making it be context sensitive. Heading in the other way towards Dresden.
CIFA, Zugbeeinflussung.
It's both, Train Simulator Driver. It basically checks both cases as an or condition. Back over the avoiding line again with this one. Somewhere up here is the 130 warning. There it is. There is a GPA up here if you don't get slowed down fast enough. This is us off up over the top. The line is down there, crossing over it now. On the avoiding line. Only plans to add 445 racing twin decks. Again, no plans for that. I'd like to see a twin decks in. They look rather cool. They're route indicators, the letters, train fan, telling you where you're being directed. Anades, I'm not sure. I'd like to see that happen, but I'm not aware of any plans at the moment. A for junction named AZ, R for Radical Lost. Okay. When do you know you can go line speed without looking at the HUD? Practice. What I like to do is count the gantries and sort of work out roughly how long my train would be in gantries, and then I just count the gantries in front, pick one and wait for that. It's better to be safe than sorry, so I always try and overestimate it. Is this a 4-hour lesson? I think the lesson finished, to be honest, because Tron Hoster at this point we're kind of playing. But I'm trying to still sort of describe what I'm doing as I do it. won't take us too long to get to reset, to be honest. Not with the speed this thing goes. We're working late tonight. I'm having fun late tonight. Wait, Henderson. I'm having fun late tonight. 12. How do you get the blue light to come on for ABM? I don't understand the question, Poorhouse. Do you mean this one over here? That's just normal if you've got power. Once you get around these curves, it'll speed us up again. Oh, right. Oh, that's AFB. Sorry, I'm using AFB, Poorhouse. Once you've enabled AFB, and if you watch the earlier part of the stream, I go through how you do that. Then yeah, that's the AFB target speed. And it's not so much development that's needed, it's just sheer time to get all the packages uploaded and set up. It's a surprising amount of work to get a package uploaded, all set up on the store, go through all the approval process, and so on and so forth. It's not just a case of put the zip file in the right place and job's done. So yeah, that's why it's just purely a time that takes to get it set up. Yeah, I've covered it on the Talent 2, I've covered it on the 146, and I've covered it on this on the 145. You can also see how I did it on this as well, but I also explained the process in the presentation at the beginning of the stream as well for the AFB, because I've seen a number of people asking about how to make it work. Normally some enterprising person puts all the timestamps into one of the comments, Gareth. I think that happened on the last one of these I did. Custom livery pixelation is being looked at the moment. The first fix they tried doesn't seem to have done as much as they'd hoped, so they're still looking into the livery pixelation. Shortly we should get the 16 board should come up. Just round corner or two. If we haven't already had it. Oh no, there's no warning for it. It'll be in 700 metres. There's little point making route suggestions on the stream, Victorian Railways, because I'm not making notes and they'll only last until the stream ends. Your best bet is to go onto the Dovetail forum. There is a dedicated place for suggestions there, and then you can, and then they will be there and everyone can see them. Right, let's go up to 160. Am I going to upload any lesson packs onto the Dovetail forum's knowledge base? Well, I'm doing these streams covering various topics, but I've not got any specific plans for other ones. There are the little mini lessons, some of which I've helped with, but the routine mode, go ahead and pull the rest of those together at some point. pulling up to the 160. I haven't seen any output from the Xbox cab texture issue yet, Joshua. I need to check in with that and see if the build for that one has actually gone through yet. Have a high external view. Given the timings that we're coming up here, I'm expecting shenanigans shortly. Possibly we're going to wind up following some obnoxious S-Bahn train. Coaches took me at least. The loco wheels all locked up.
SIFA, Zugbeeinflussung.
$120. Oh, we're already under 120. What am I slowing down for? You think it's the best looking route so far? I personally agree, Joshua. I'm really pleased with it. I'm really enjoying driving this route.
SIFA, Zugbeeinflussung.
Right. P0b. This gives ourselves a shooting chance of stopping.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Realised I'm only operating on the electric. That's not going to help anything. P0b on and no hard. Nice. Better watch what you're doing. Otherwise, bad things.
Zugbeeinflussung. Kühlfreigabe. 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 Zugbeeinflussung.
Victorian Railways, I am driving a BR101. Now it says the last one for tonight. I've done some Talent 2, 146, 185, and this is the 101. 500 hertz has woken up.
SIFA, Zugbeeinflussung.
You will seem to get a PCB penalty when the speed limit is about to decrease, roughly a kilometre away. Acknowledge the signals that 1000 Hz magnet always makes speed break. Possibly going too fast or not braking, because when you acknowledge the magnet, you then do have to slow down. But also, you need to be not going too fast when you hit the PCB magnet. Yeah, probably, Ed. That's normally what the cause is. Passenger train up here. There it is. Another RE50. Blooming expresses getting in my way. Nuncrits, yeah. Yeah, neither else the other way, isn't it? Oh dear, oh dear. I've got green. Messing about and we've got a green. We don't know what happens when Matt has a coffee. Nah, you see, this is, I can't show you, I've got the cameras on. So why have I got my sippy cup now? So it can't be a problem anymore. Well, shouldn't be a problem anymore. Right, 500 hertz is off, 85 hertz is off. Should just be able to rock it. Is it a Tommy Tipple cup? No, it's a coffee thing, but it's got
SIFA, Zugbeeinflussung.
I must admit, I've not actually had a coffee in it anymore. I think I'm just mentally wounded from all the coffee accidents. So far, my new coffee mug has only actually had water in it. There's no such thing as an 85 hertz. Where are you getting that from, Daniel? 85 is the speed. It's because it's come out of all monitoring and so forth, which means it's default back to normal mode, which is 85.
SIFA, Zugbeeinflussung.
Did I say 85 hertz? Yeah. Don't know what you're all listening to me for. Clearly haven't got a clue what I'm talking about. 500 hertz and no 85 hertz. I mean 1000 hertz.
SIFA. SIFA. Zugbeeinflussung.
Is the sippy cup pink? Of course it is. Let me put my camera on for this last bit of the stream. Of course it's pink. In fact, I've got two. I thought I'd have it was a different colour. Yeah, so I got one that was a different colour pink. Is it full of gin? No, it's full of water. Oh dear. I do have a pink mouse. They make a pink keyboard, but unfortunately it's American layout, and I like my Korean keyboard, so.
SIFA. SIFA. Zugbeeinflussung.
Right, 6 kilometers now from Orissa. Korean keyboard, but it looks exactly like a normal Western keyboard. It's got all of the Korean keys on it. There are 2 extra keys on it with Korean symbols on it. One of which you can use to switch the keyboard between English and Korean mode. No, I wouldn't name goes here. Can't you type Korean? Without a Korean keyboard, it's incredibly difficult to type Korean. You have to use a virtual keyboard without a real one. That's slow. Do I have the new PC now? Not yet, no. Early next week. Other stuff got in the way, so it didn't get done. No, I dare say the PC won't be in a pink case. I've no idea what specs it will be, Red Leader. I'll find out when I get it. New PC will be a work machine. I've still got my PC, my own one, but this work PC looks like it'll be a lot better than that. Remember, I finished before 23:59. I'll be finishing shortly. We've only got 3 kilometers left to go. Cheers, see you later, nice. Right, we've got an upcoming 80 coming up, so we're getting an LF68 warning in a minute. It should be able to be, yes, the ballast tool, yeah, Derek. But that might not be appear until later routes than you think, because a number of routes, there's other routes that have already had the track laid. There's the 8. Acknowledge that. It's not so much going past midnight, Gareth. It's more a 4-hour stream is a bit bonkers. Watch out for the GU30. It reads a platform. It trips from the signal at the end of the platform is red.
Zugbeeinflussung. Zugbeeinflussung. Kühlfreigabe. Kühlfreigabe. Kühlfreigabe.
Do I still use my personal Twitch channel very much? Not an awful lot, no. I'm going to try and get back into it, but I need to get my new roles sort of solidified and set up properly, and that should give me the time to stream on my own channel again. There's the GU signal down here for the 30. I think that's what that is anyway.
Zugbeeinflussung.
Hey Megasim, what did you miss? Pretty much everything. Pretty much at the end of the journey now. Yeah, P0b tutorial tonight. So just a quick recap. First up was the normal training session where we went through HL signals and reminder of P0b, reminder of CIFA, reminder of AFB. So I'll make that PowerPoint. I'll send that over to Nat, and she can put it on the forums, same as she did previously. Then we did some examples with the Talent 2, including how to use Tempomat as well as P0b, and showed off some of the examples of the HL signals. Then we did the BR146 from Coswig to Dresden, and again showed off AFB. And then we went to the BR185 and did Dresden to Roderau on that one, and we did more AFB as well on that. And then we did the BR101 and we did more AFB on that one. The three magnet thing is the GPU things that I mentioned. GPA magnets, the speed ones. That's a 2000 hertz. I can't see them. There's a distinct lack of light. That's just a 2000 hertz. Never mind. Can't really see because there's no light. But never mind. So that's what we've covered this evening. And if you've got any feedback on it, anything else you want to see, let me know. I'll see what I can do. Otherwise than that, thank you very, very much for watching. Other than the chair throwing, the paper airplanes and the pencils that were thrown around at the beginning, it was very good. You've been a great crowd. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great weekend. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.